You are entering ENC's Pod of Awesomeness.
So, Birdman, we had our big prep there. We got on. Said,
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? And here we go.
Ready to do
Salacious
this?
is rolling. Yeah, ready.
Yeah.
I think we're already doing it, is what my point is.
Yeah, well, we don't have time for, how do you do?
Chit-chat?
What's up?
No.
What's going on? No chit-chat. Straight to it, man. We got shit to get
We're
to.
married. We're married at this point. We don't need the niceties.
Are we
Right?
married or are we common law? That's the question.
I don't know. I guess it depends. With common law, do you get half?
I don't know. I think I would get something.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get
Yeah.
anything.
You never have. Selfish bastard.
Well played. So it's new. What's
nothing.
going on?
A little this, a little that, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to keep my cards
Salt, little pepper.
close to the vest, you know? I don't like to give too much out. So,
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
which means basically I've
so-
been doing nothing. So I'm just trying to make myself sound important.
Big guest this week, and I've been looking forward
Yeah.
to this one. We have Ali.
I know. I know.
Mustafa. Oh,
What a-
wait. No, just Ali. See
What a
I did there?
whirlwind it's been for him this last 6 months, brother. So
I don't know. For a second there, I thought somebody was making a little
I don't know where he is.
appearance.
Yeah,
I know.
he's been making towns. He seems like he's busy. But no, I'm looking forward to talking to Ali. Had the pleasure of meeting him a few times, and he's legit super nice guy. So really looking forward to chit chatting with old Ali, brother.
Yeah. We won't dive in too quick right now, but we'll get there because anyway, I've been looking forward to it.
We should also remind the listeners to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on Android app, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, or however you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to leave us a
5-star frog/review.
There you go. You beat me to that this week. That's usually
I know.
my
I wanted to
deal.
get it in. Yeah, and you can follow us on Twitter at ENCPod and on the Instagram at ECPod of Awesomeness. So there you go.
And you can also follow our guest, Ali, on Twitter at Ali WWE and Instagram Ali WWE.
There you go.
Yep.
The business is out of the way, brother. All right, before we go any further there, Edgewood, let me tell you about Purple Mattress. I mean, I know you already know about it, but did you spend the night tossing and turning? Do you have pain or stress? Does it keep you up at night? I mean, I have it all the time. It's stressful being your friend, and I need a good night's sleep, and Purple gives it to me. I've been waking up with a stiff neck, a pain in the back, all from carrying you all these years. And you spend way too much money on mattresses, let's face it. And you still don't get a good night's sleep.
If you're struggling to get a good night's sleep, you've got to try a Purple mattress. The founders of Purple are two brothers who have been developing cushioning technology for 30 years on things like medical beds and wheelchairs. In 2016, they finally decided to use their patented comfort technology to create Purple, the world's most scientific mattress. The Purple mattress will it's going to feel different than anything you've ever experienced because it uses this brand new material that was developed by an actual rocket scientist. And trust me, that is way smarter than Jay because he's really dumb. It was not like the memory foam I'm used to. The Purple material feels very unique because it's both firm and soft at the same time. So it keeps everything supported while still feeling really comfy, cozy. Plus, it's breathable, so it sleeps cool.
Right, and get this. There's a 100-night risk-free trial. And if you're not fully satisfied, you can return your mattress for a full refund, backed by a 10-year warranty and free shipping and returns. You're going to love Purple, trust me. And now, with our listeners, you'll get a free Purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text Awesomeness to 84-888. The only way to get this free pillow is to text Awesomeness to 84888. The only way to get this pillow free is to text Awesomeness to 84888. That's AWESOMENESS to 84888.
Twitter question of the week. After Rocket strapping Titus O'Neil to the 24/7 championship for a short time, who will be Rocket strapped next? How about that? We have Titus on the show. Greatly received, by the way, by the Hosers.
Yeah.
It was a very, very. It was really good. I hate to say something we did was really good, but it was really good. And
I don't mind saying
has to do with
it, but,
Titus, not us.
Yeah, no. And the cool thing about that talk was we didn't talk at all about wrestling. We had every intention to, but it just didn't go there. And as everybody knows, we don't come into these things prepared. We don't have any set questions. We just go with it. And
there's no plan.
We didn't get to wrestling, and it was like you had said earlier. We talked earlier this week on the phone and talked about the interview was refreshing.
It was. It was a breath of fresh air. Not that there's anything wrong with talking about wrestling, because I think this is, everyone knows, the wrestling themed podcast. But it was really nice to just, we didn't have to, because Titus has a lot of stuff going on, and
it was a big, tall, ice cold glass of lemonade on a hot summer day, brother.
Whoa.
I've been saying brother a lot in this podcast already. Better back off the brothers, brother. Yeah.
Lemonade is not that thirst quenching, though. Neither is beer. I've never understood that. People say, I need a nice cold beer on a hot day. Why?
It's an excuse to drink beer. That's why.
Okay. But it's not. Yeah. It's not like it's going to quench your thirst. It's going to make you more thirsty.
Nah.
You know what I'm
then
saying?
You have another one.
It's bugged me. It's bugged me, Birdman. I got to bring it up, but I don't want
So who are we going to rocket strap next? I guess it'd be Ali. He's next up to the plate.
Yeah. And I think he's ready to smack some home runs up in there.
Yeah. Speaking of rocket strapping Titus to the 24/7 championship, what do you think of the whole 24/7 deal? What do you think of it?
Well, so I think it is the ugliest championship ever created. I will start off by saying that. I will start off with the negatives. That thing is brutal. However, I think it's great. I really do. I always thought the hardcore title was fun, and I think right now programming, that's exactly what it needs, is some fun, because it was just a way to get characters that aren't on the show necessarily all the time on the show, and to show that they have some character. So a guy like Bobby Roode, who is super talented, he's all of these things, but you can show that he's an entertaining guy.
Right.
I think it's a really good opportunity for a lot of people. You look and see like Crash Holly and Jerry Briscoe, like all of these people back when it was the hardcore title that did.
Molly Holly won it.
Yeah, and
I beat Molly Holly for it. I beat Molly Holly for it. So,
just fun stuff, though, and I remember that whole thing fondly. I was never involved in it at all, but I remember always wanting to watch it and to see what they were going to do, and to also come up with just some fun, just fun stuff. I think that's what it boils down to, and most importantly, it gets some people into the mix and on the show that maybe aren't getting that opportunity.
Yeah. Do you think they should have just brought back, especially since Mick was presenting the title, you think they should have just brought back the hardcore title and called it that instead of the 24/7 title, or are we like past calling things hardcore?
I think we're past that, and I think it dates it, and this kind of makes it a little more contemporary, and I like the 24/7 deal. I just don't like the actual championship looks.
Right.
I could have made that.
Maybe you did.
Maybe I did.
You're an artiste.
I guarantee you that some of the belts that I created for our wrestling federation back in the Brizother, looked way cooler on your dad's weight belts. Hey, and guess what? I know there's probably a belt maker who's going to get this on some kind of Ed shoots on the 24/7, it'll be on YouTube or whatever. I'm not. It's in no way a commentary on who made the belt at all.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's made amazingly. Just the actual.
It's one of those ones too where you'll get used to it and then it'll be fine. You know.
Yeah.
So it was like that Intercontinental Championship before this one, right? It wasn't like I was like, why did they change it? And then you just kind of got used to it.
You did. I don't know if I ever liked it. I was always bummed that the one I won was never the classic, Savage Steamboat one. But what are you going to do, right? Yeah. Hey, beggars can't be choosers, brother. There, I'm hitting the brothers now.
Yeah. So we had, the Stanley Cup Finals are set, huh?
Yeah.
Do a little weekly hockey chat here. And the Blues and Bruins.
my pick from the West made it, and they're your yearly pick every year. How about the one
Except
year
this
you
year.
don't pick them?
I know.
You are
I know.
not a prognosticator, my friend.
No, I'm not. But I'm glad. I'm happy for the St. Louis Blues. It's been like, what, 52 years or something? And they've never won a championship.
It's been
So,
that long?
I don't know. Has it?
I don't think so.
But yeah. Well, what year did they come in existence?
68,
The 60s,
I think.
right?
Yeah, 68.
I'm doing finger counting here. 70, 80, 90.
Yeah,
So, it can be, it's pretty close.
it's
I
close
counted down
either
my
way.
fingers.
Hey,
Yeah.
and here's the deal. Here's the deal. Their first year in the league, expansion team, they put all the expansion teams in the West so that one of the Western new expansion teams would make it to the Stanley Cup final. They played the Bruins in the final with Bobby Orr. Not fair at all because, let's face it, if Bobby Orr is on a team, it's just not fair for anybody else. The Bruins sweep them 4 straight. So this is a rematch 50 years in the making. Somebody will do the
That should be
math.
great.
It's 49 years, whatever.
There's some good storylines, too. The
Thunder's
the
drinking
Blues
water.
have
Can you
been
hear
in.
him? Jesus.
The Blues
Quit it,
have
Thunder.
never won. David Backus, who was the captain of the St. Louis Blues for years, now plays for the Bruins. Jordan Bennington, who came in January and started playing, who's the goalie, who's been red hot and basically, turned their season around for them.
Yep.
They were dead
And
last
Berube
in
as
January
coach.
when he came in. Yeah, and Craig Berube is coach as well. But they were going to assign him to a lower league than the AHL, and he refused to do it. So they loaned him to the Boston Bruins minor league affiliate for a season. So he does know a lot of those players too. So there's some kind of cool storylines there.
There you
Very
go.
wrestling-esque.
And a guy who obviously bet on himself. He refused. I like it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's pick'em time. It's pick'em time. It hasn't started. Who you picking?
I'm picking the Blues.
Are you?
I am. I just hate the Bruins. Sorry. And I think
a lot of
the
heat,
Blues
brother.
have turned it around. I think they're a little bit heavier. I think they're just as talented up front, and I think that they're going to do it. I think the Bruins have been off too long. It'll be almost 2 weeks since they played by that time.
Yeah. Man, it's tough to bet against the Bruins, though, man. They got just that core of players, the fourth lines. Yeah, I mean.
All right, so you're going Bruins,
However,
I'm going Blues.
No,
so there you go.
No.
That's what
I'm
you
not
just said.
saying that. I just said it's tough to bet against them. I didn't come to my final decision yet.
I'll
Don't jump
punch
the
your
gun. Don't
face
be
right
premature, man. I know that's your modus operandi is usually premature, but in this instance, I think I'm going to pick the Blues too.
All right, there we go.
Because I want the Blues to win. And I got nothing against the Bruins except the fact that they've put out the Leafs, 3 times in the last, 10 years or whatever in the first round.
Whatever, doesn't matter. They put them out. So All Elite Wrestling (AEW) holding their first PPV this coming weekend.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And I think it's great. I really do. I love the fact that they got a TV deal. We talked about it a little bit about it last week. I think, as I said, I hope they have time to work out whatever kinks they may have and kind of find whatever their style is. And I'm not talking about the wrestling style. I'm talking about the production of the show, because to me, that's what always set WWE apart was the production. Truck and those editors, the Adam Panucci's back in Stanford and doing what they do and working tirelessly and 7 days a week. If people don't know how those folks back in the Stanford TV studio work, it's ridiculous how hard they work and how many hours they work, and they don't get credit, and they should, because they kick ass. And they're, to me, one of the main reasons, not the only reason, obviously there's Stone Cold, The Rock, etc., but man, the work they put in and the product that they produce continually is what always, to me, set WWE apart from the pack. So, I will be very interested to see what AEW can do on their end to just to make their product theirs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, and good for them for getting to this point. And I'm sure all the talent on the show will be ready to step up and hit it out of the park. So looking forward to seeing what they do.
Yep. And I'm gonna guess there's gonna be some surprises. So that'll be fun to see
for
too.
sure.
Yeah. Maybe a bird goes flapping his wings over Vegas somewhere, huh? What's going on down there?
Yeah. Well, don't bet on that.
Okay. All right. I just killed any fantasy booking.
No.
Money in the Bank happened,
Did you watch it?
and I did not. I will be perfectly truthful. I watched Game of Thrones, and then I went to bed. So, however, I heard that one of my outside picks that I think you even went, really, Bailey won the women's Money in the Bank, and I called it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was
called
great.
right here last
great.
week.
No, it was good. It was a great match. It was a great moment for her. And the cash in on the same night was pretty well done. In my opinion, I kind of liked what you said had they thought about turning her heel. And it would have been great if they had run her down, if there was more of a DQ in that match instead of, having Charlotte win. Have Lacey get involved and have DQ, have them beating, the champion, have beat the man down. And then, Bailey comes in and chases them off with the briefcase. And when they're gone, turn around, do the turn, cash it in on Becky. I think would have got a ton of heat and would have been a great program for the summer for them.
Exactly. Or you now have a babyface champion on one show and a heel champion on the other. So you have contenders step up. But I think that would have been pretty cool. And no one would have seen that coming.
No. I mean,
but hey,
especially when you go in and you're chasing off the two. When you chase off the two heels, right, and then just turn around and just crack, and then cash it in. That's good heat.
Yep. Yes, it is. But we don't get paid to write the show. So.
No, we don't get paid for this either, but we're doing it.
You got my emphysema laugh there. Mysterio, new U.S. champ. Shane beat the... Whoa, somebody's up. Well, there's the girls. We're doing this during the day, folks, and usually we do it at night when the girls are in bed. So if you hear the Lyrical Gangster and the Rubinator, here she comes. Did you want to say something to Uncle Jay?
What's the duck favorite fruit? Watermelon.
What? I think there was a joke there.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's the deal. I usually, Beth will give her a nickel if she comes on and does some work on the podcast. So she just earned a nickel for that.
Oh wow, that's
I don't know
legit.
what the punchline was, but
no, I thought this is how I interpret it. What does a duck eat for fruit? Watermelon?
What does a duck
was that correct?
eat for fruit? What was it? What does a duck normally eat? Watermelon. Oh, well, that's a great that's a great joke. Fozzie Bear would be. It was what does a duck eat for fruit? Watermelon. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
There
you have it.
So they're going grocery shopping now, so we'll have no more interruptions.
Well, that's good. What was your take on Brock winning the men's Money in the Bank?
I can see both sides. You know what I mean? Here's a guy who doesn't need the Money in the Bank. Kind of like I talked about with Strowman not needing Money in the Bank. But Strowman was a babyface winning it, and that is a far different thing. So now you have this guy who is, King Kong, and he's a heel and inserts himself in the match and wins the Money in the Bank. Then there's some heat there. I just never got a guy like Strowman having it because he's supposed to be a babyface, and the big bully babyface winning it, there's not really a lot of places to go.
Right.
There is, however, places to go with Brock. You can get some heat out of it.
Right, and the thing too, it's he's not necessarily a guy that needs that, but now it's something that he can just, Paul Heyman can talk about. He can stand there and hold it to his ear like it's a ghetto blaster. I
enjoyed that. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, and do that shade and grin he does, and then tease. He can basically have them on their toes at all times. Because he doesn't necessarily need that Money in the Bank to beat these guys, but he'll use it to his advantage. Why? Because he's a dick. So,
And I also enjoy the fact that this guy who's a freak athlete has absolutely no rhythm whatsoever. Like, at all.
Yeah.
The whitest dude ever.
Yeah.
The flip side of it is I always thought Money in the Bank was great for that person who's right on the cusp.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like an Ali, like a who else was in the match? Like a Sami Zayn,
Finn Balor.
like a Finn Balor.
If Sammy was supposed to, yeah.
Okay.
Andrade. So
Yeah. That's
Randy.
That to me, it's Randy doesn't need it, right?
No.
So to me, it's one of those things that can, you put it on somebody and you give them a shot just to see, hey, if it works, great. You got a new top, not top person, a new person in the main event, scene. I mean, that's what it did for me. It finally broke me through that final layer, I guess. And that to me is what it should be, But I get it. I also get, like I said, the heat that you can get out of it.
Right. Yeah, I'd be remiss too if I didn't mention the Seth Rollins and AJ Styles match. I thought it was really well done. Thought it was great. Both guys. It's hard to do a babyface match and have the fans be invested in it. But they built it up. They showed some good packages of before these guys were even in WWE and how long this match is kind of taken to come into fruition. And they delivered. Sometimes when there's that pressure of going out there and you have these big expectations, sometimes that's a hard thing to live up to, but they did. And obviously both guys are super talented and two of the best in the world at what they do. So, it was a really well done match. I really enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I got to sit down and just get caught up on some stuff. I think that for me, the first double babyface match, at least that I can remember, I know there were other instances, obviously, but the one that really kind of, to me, set the template was Hogan and Warrior.
Yeah.
And obviously being there live and seeing that and just the electricity, that whole thing, and just the way they put it together. I mean,
the key to those matches,
a technical masterpiece, but it worked. My gosh, it worked.
And the key to those matches is for one of the baby faces to kind of get a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and get a little more vicious and almost with a slight heel-ness to them. And I remember when Randy and I were working and we were both baby faces, he kind of took that role on, whereas I would be a little bit more of an underdog until I actually turned on him. And that, to me, seems to enhance the match some.
Yeah. But to your point, it can be very difficult. So I'm looking forward to seeing that for sure. I'm sure they put on a clinic.
As they say, brother. Yeah.
Ziggs is back.
And
is going to work Kofi at Super Showdown.
Yeah.
And
he's been off for a while.
Talked about this. Goldberg coming back to work Taker at Super Showdown.
I know. Yeah, and the fact that they've never even wrestled before, so it's it's a pretty cool thing in itself. Two big personas like that, two superstars, legit superstars, that were both on top for a long time, but never crossed paths. So it should be interesting to see.
That's a Mania match.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
but they're treating these. I mean, even in the ads, they're talking about it being this Super Showdown being on par with a WrestleMania. So they're presenting it as such.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, yeah. There's some seats to fill there, brother.
Isn't it a great show, though? I think it's going to be filled anyway, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, with Ziggler come back, great surprise. It's cool when guys go away for a stretch of time too, right? And like he's a guy that he was out there every week. Why? Because they trusted him to go out there and deliver.
Fill time,
and
have a good match.
He's a workhorse. You could put him in any situation, in any match. And sometimes you get painted with that brush, and where it's like, oh, we need a good match. We need something good. Oh, put Dolph in it. So he's going to be out there every week in something. But it's good for a guy like him to get that break and then come back fresh. I don't know how long he's staying for. If it's just for the show, I'm not sure. But it was a good surprise. So it'll be a good match, and it was cool to see Kofi retain again at this past pay-per-view. So, and those two have had some amazing matches in the past, so I expect it to be the same.
Yeah, it'll be a fun match. They work well together, and it's always cool too. It makes Kofi look like this chased champion by even people even coming back out of the woodwork and kind of thing. It's cool. I like it. But we've yapped enough. We flapped our gums enough. We got to get to our guests this week. We got to get busy rocket strapping this guy. He's already well on his way, but we can give him a couple extra boosters, right? But before we do that, Birdman, let me tell you about a little something. There are 3 things every homeowner wants their home to be: smarter, safer, and more fun. What if I told you One Link by First Alert has you covered? First, meet your family's new best friend, the One Link Safe and Sound. It's a hardwired, smart smoke and carbon monoxide alarm with a premium home speaker and Alexa-enabled all-in-one sleek device. Built with First Alert safety technology and providing an immersive, great sound experience, the Safe and Sound elevates any home, but it gets better. Tell them, Bird.
Oh, it does get better. One Link by First Alert also offers the One Link smart smoke and carbon monoxide alarm that works with the One Link Safe and Sound. The device is easy to install, which is good for Adam because we talked about earlier, he's dumb. And it protects against both smoke and carbon monoxide. If smoke or carbon monoxide is detected in the home, the smart alarm will notify you via exclusive voice and location technology and send a notification to your smartphone whether you're home or away. A smart home should start with a smart protection plan, and One Link by First Alert welcomes you to a smarter, safer home. Visit onelink.firstalert.com for more information.
Hello.
Hey, so we had a discussion whether you were going to be on time. I assumed you would be. I thought he's going to be punctual. I could just sense it from you. That's the aura you give off is a punctual dude. And look at that, bam. So
and
Jay loses.
On the flip side of that, I was not worried that you would be on time so much as that you're an hour behind where we are Eastern time. So I was like, man, and I know Adam is stupid. So I wasn't sure if he told you for Eastern or Central. So, but he did assure me that you had said so 3 your time. So look at you. You're on time, man. I like that.
So it wasn't that you were afraid that I was late. It was just that you thought Adam was stupid.
Yes. Basically, any time that we're going to place the blame on each other as opposed to anyone else. Usually by saying the other is stupid.
Well, this is fantastic because now no one is stupid and no one is late. So everyone's happy, right?
Well, we're still stupid. But, How's it going, man?
Good, man. What's going on with you guys?
We're good.
We're getting by.
We're good, We're just doing the same old thing we do every week. But I will say that we've been talking about having you on for a little while. So I'm excited about this. We do a little thing where we take all the credit for someone, getting rocket strapped. And if we were now a tag team, we'd be called the Rocket Strappers. So our theory is that you don't really need the help, but nobody needs to know that. So we're just going to throw on a couple extra boosters to you, and we're going to rocket strap you, is the idea.
Actually, I can only use the extra boost. I'm here for the extra boost. Let's get it.
So you're in Chicago, right? You're a Chicago guy?
Yeah, born and raised out in Chicago, did the Indies out in Chicago, married, kids, my whole wife's family's out here in Chicago. So the only time I left for like a good duration was when I first got signed at the end of 2016. We all had to relocate to Orlando. And my wife was pregnant at the time with our second child, and I just didn't think it was a good idea to pluck her out of this nice little setup with her 4 sisters that she has, and her mom, and her 17 nieces and nephews that she has. Yeah. She's got like a little army over there. So I didn't think it would be wise to pluck her out and, hey, let's move to Orlando where we don't know anybody. So, I was only gone in Orlando for 6 months. But other than that, I've been in Chicago my whole life.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, it's I've often wondered, because Jay and I both had our kids after we retired, and just the difficulties of being a dad or a mom on the road, and just everything that entails. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard.
It just started to get more difficult now, like within this year. Two reasons being, one, the schedule change. Before, when I signed with WWE, I was just doing 205 Live, and we kind of had 205 Live itself is a very difficult spot to be in, because you're literally scratching and clawing for every single minute of television that you could possibly get. So on the flip side of things is you aren't home. You don't do live events. You're not really on pay-per-views all the time. So the schedule is not nearly as demanding as being on SmackDown or Raw. On the flip side of that, obviously I got called up to the SmackDown Live roster this year, but on the flip side of it is my daughter's 5 years old now. So now she kind of gets it more when I'm gone, and it upsets her more, because we have a schedule. Like Thursdays, I take her to swimming class, but last week we were on the European tour. So she was really upset that I wasn't home to take her to swimming class, So yeah, it's getting more difficult because the schedule's changed, and she's growing up, man. She knows that I'm not around. And then my son, he's 1.5. He doesn't know anything. He's just trying to figure out where all the poop's coming from. So
Yeah. So what I find is bribery works really well. So when you're away like that, you bring them, promise them a nice surprise when you come home, and then every time that you have to go away for work, they know they're going to get a surprise. So that might help a little bit as well.
This is why I need wise veterans like you in my life. There you go. That's the next trick. Okay. Promise them something. Got it.
Yeah. Great advice. Wise veteran is just buy them stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just a stuffed toy, something that as long as it's a surprise, it's more the surprise than anything else,
I just never look forward to it. There you go. All right, I got you. Thank you, man.
You talked about 205 Live, and we've talked on this show about 205 Live, and just how it has a similar feel to NXT, in that it just feels like a group of very young, hungry talent that want to be noticed and want to say, hey, look over here. And is that kind of the mentality on that show?
Oh man, only being on SmackDown for a few months, I could see the difference, in the sense of, like, I don't want to say, I feel like everyone's hungry to a certain point, like this industry, and specifically WWE, is a very, fast pace, and you got to be on your toes and ready, because you never know when an opportunity is going to come up type of, environment. But 205 specifically, because it's kind of like that feeling when, you go out there and you kill it, and you come back and everyone's like, great match, but the next week, that doesn't carry over. You know what I mean? It's that frustration of, oh, that wasn't enough, I got to do more, or, they don't have time to do promos with you, because, the SmackDown crew needs the pre-tape room to do promos. So it's like this feeling of, you're kind of like the redheaded child, like you're the stepchild, you're not, as appreciated. So I feel like that in itself made the 205 locker room bond together even more, where it's kind of all right, we got to have our own back. You know what I mean? We got to push each other. We got to take care of each other. We got to protect each other. Because if you feel like you're not being presented in the best possible way, and then if it's every man for themselves, then the product, I feel, is doomed. But there's a intense brotherhood back there. We really take care of each other. And you can tell by, everyone can probably say that the main event of 205 Live every single week is a match that people go, whoa, that was really good. And these guys are out there killing it, So yeah, to answer your question, it's a sincere brotherhood back there, which is, you don't always get that everywhere you go, because everyone's just hungry for it, man.
I mean, talk about the position that show is in terms of when it tapes, right? It's after SmackDown. So
yeah.
That's already such a difficult thing to try and overcome. And the only way to overcome that is with your work, because they've seen all the storylines. They've seen a 2-hour show. They've seen, AJ. They've seen, these guys and girls that are presented on the show every week, and then you guys got to go out there. And I mean, I always I never really understood why it was placed there. And I'm sure there's some kind of logistical reason that's just beyond my pay grade. But I always just thought it would be a great show to start with while the crowd is super jazzed and hot, and it would just add that much more. So did that factor into you when you guys would put stuff together and just kind of know that you're already have that challenge ahead of you?
I mean, everything you just said was summarized by Jack Gallagher one time. He put it the best. He said, "We're the opening act that goes on after the headliner." So now you go to see Metallica, but then you got for this unknown band that's going to come out. So yeah, that was the mentality. We always knew we were like, hey, we're behind the eight ball. They've already seen everything. Specifically, we would think about like the longer weekends, like SummerSlam and WrestleMania. We're in the same town. So they've seen an NXT takeover on Saturday, then they've seen Mania on Sunday, and then they've seen Raw and SmackDown Monday and Tuesday. Then it's like, last but not least, here comes the cruiserweights, anything arm drag that you haven't seen, it's a really tough spot. But yeah, that's factoring a lot. But I think 205 has been in a position for so long where we just know, we have the confidence because, again, every single main event, by the end of it, I'll agree, sometimes we come out and there's not that, reaction and whatnot, but by the end of the match, they always get us every night.
Yeah.
It's something else you said, too, how the main event match of 205 Live was always great, but there's some pressure on the opening match as well to go out there and deliver in that situation, too, because like I said, they've seen the storylines. They've seen a few hours of wrestling already at this point, and you want them to stay. You don't want people leaving during your show. So, that there's some pressure on that first match, too, to go out there and hook them and keep them there as well.
And I can tell you the most disheartening thing is, because I've been in that opening match spot, and, you only, let's say, they've been given the main event of 205 some time, which is awesome. These guys are having 20 minute matches. It's a 5-way, it's a 6-way, it's a 1-on-1, which is a good thing. But if you are that first match, sometimes you have, this 6-minute sag, and it's supposed to be competitive, but I remember being in a spot looking up and seeing people leave, and I'm like, I'm literally dying here, and I can't get you to sit for 3-4 minutes. Yeah, it's a really tough spot, man.
Yeah. Let's back up just a little bit as well. You were actually a police officer, correct? And when you were getting into the business, obviously, family man, how was it? How was doing that and trying to navigate making it in pro wrestling? How difficult was that?
So I'm supposed to be this super positive character, so I won't tell you that it was the most miserable couple of years of my life down to, but I'll just tell you it wasn't very convenient. That's how I'll say it. It wasn't very convenient figuring all that out one time. So it started out a lot of people that you talk to nowadays. I started out when I was 16 years old in the independent wrestling scene. And it got to the point where things were just kind of winding down, man. I wasn't getting, the international tour offer that everyone was doing. I didn't go to Japan and Mexico. It just wasn't coming my way, And I had a tryout with WWE, I think, 2013. And I just remember being told, the most blank statement ever. They just said, you're not what we're looking for. That's it. Not hey, size, hey, your promo was crap, hey, your in-ring, nothing. Just, you're not what we're looking for. So I had no idea how to take that, and then I had a buddy who was also an independent wrestler that went on to become a police officer, and he was telling me about, hey, man, I think you would really dig it. He's it's meaningful work. You're a good guy. I think it's the perfect balance of what you're looking for. And my real name is Adil, and it translates to one who seeks justice for others. So there's kind of a calling, so to speak, because I've always been fond of the profession. I've seen the terrible stuff on the news like everybody else has, but I've always been that's supposed to be a noble profession. That's supposed to be a profession where you actually serve the people, not this crap that we see on TV, and not these terrible police officers that are doing these terrible things. And I always kind of felt I feel like I can do that job. I feel like I can articulate and have empathy to people, but at the same time, kind of be justice, so to speak, whatever. I became a police officer because I really thought I was going to step away from wrestling full time. And I was a police officer right outside Chicago for about 4 years. And while I was doing that, I was working the midnight shift, but I was also taking independent wrestling bookings. So I would be wrestling at 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. at some indie show, and then jumping into my car, not even taking a shower, just jumping in my car, changing into like sweatpants, trying to race to the police department so that I can make a roll call at 11 p.m. And then I would work my midnight shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then get home by like 8:30 a.m. and enough, to help my kids get ready for school and, have breakfast with them. And then I would try to sleep all day. So yeah, it was a terrible schedule. My wife always points it out that she hated that I was a police officer more than me being on the road with WWE. She absolutely hated it.
Really? Yeah, well, I mean, looking at it from her end of it, it's, the danger involved. I mean, you picked two, things that involve a lot of danger, man.
Yeah.
So.
It's really ironic because one of my friends was talking to me the other day because WWE just usually did like a chronicle of me. So I was talking about like the whole Muslim background and being a police officer. He's like, man, you're trying to be like a baby face. And you're talking about the two most difficult things for people to get behind in some aspects in like today's society. So it's kind of ironic. But the being a police officer thing, that was really hard because some days I would come home and, you're supposed to talk about like negative experiences. You're supposed to like kind of like open up and like, release all this negative energy. But like, how do I sit there and tell my wife at the breakfast table that like, yeah, I had to fight a guy for my life last night because, he was, highly intoxicated or he was on drugs. And he was reaching for my gun, and, I had to fight for my life until, some other police officers arrived on the scene. Like, how do I explain to her that someone died on me? Or how do I explain to her that I had to help remove, young children from an automobile accident and they were deceased? So I'm seeing these, like, really, really terrible things, and I don't know how to talk about them with her because I know what it's going to do to her psyche and her mentality. Yeah. You know what I mean? So some days I was able to keep it inside of me and move on. Other days I wouldn't. I'd come home and I'd be a mess. And, with the schedule being so weird, it's like it's already difficult to try to get some sleep at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., when the birds are chirping and the sun's out. But it's even more difficult to go to sleep after you saw some terrible things the night before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. When did you go ahead, Adam.
Well, I was just going to say, did you ever find an outlet for that to be able to get those things out?
You know what I mean? You're with so many people when things go south. I'm talking about like other police officers that they kind of know. You like just like in wrestling, you find a few guys that you get along with that you can kind of open up to and whatnot and vent about stuff. And I had that. But yeah, man, my wife's my best friend, so I try not to like bother her like every week with like, hey, this happened and this happened. But like, yeah, once some serious stuff went down, I did talk to her about it. And I for the most part, I'm okay. I do here and there, I'll see something that reminds me of it, and I'll get like that cold chill, or I'll have to look away because I can't deal with it, and I don't want to talk about it. But then there's other aspects, like I keep talking about the gloom of it. Like I've seen some awesome things too. I've seen like I pulled over the side of the road and I've seen like 4 or 5 people, putting themselves in danger, like civilians, to pull people, from car wrecks, like really like risky stuff. So I've seen neighborhood watches band together because an autistic child went missing, and we had like 1,000 people show up to find this kid, and we found it. Like so you see like. You also see the light rather than all this dark stuff. Like you see these amazing people too. But yeah, as far as venting about it, like you have other police officers that you can talk to. And they've always offered services and whatnot. Like, hey, there's these outreach programs or a psychiatrist is available. But fortunately, I don't feel I haven't needed it, but I felt like if I did, I would have utilized it.
It is nice to hear that. Yeah, obviously there's going to be some difficulties with that job, but it's nice to hear. The positive side of it and the good that can come from that job, because we see, plenty of instances of the not so good stuff, to put it lightly. So it's nice to hear that, and I'm glad that your wife is probably much happier that you're just wrestling now.
She's 100% behind us.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you. What was the point where you decided, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to focus on wrestling. Was there a light switch that went off, or was it something that gradually happened? What was that process like?
Yeah, it was a gradual thing. Like, I was that guy, that had the big retirement indie match. Like, oh, I'm done, and then I came back 7-8 months later, and then, okay, I'm just going to, wrestle once a month now. So one, local promotion that I like. It was that thing. It was just me not letting go of wrestling. It's something I've loved. I love wrestling since I was a kid. I have memories of watching wrestling with my dad, who was a big fan, and wrestling with my brothers and whatnot. So wrestling was forever, in me, whether I was ready to let go or not. And I told everybody that when I would close my eyes, I would still see me wrestling. I'd see my dream. I'd see myself in WWE. I'd see myself competing at WrestleMania. But when I opened my eyes, reality was set in. I was a nobody. I wasn't a big star on the indies. I wasn't traveling the world, and I was pretty much committed to this police officer gig because it just consumed so much time. But for some reason, I just couldn't let go, and that's when the Cruiserweight Classic opportunity came about. And it was out of nowhere, and it was kind of like a quick thing. And I think just because I was in their database or whatever from that 2013 tryout, so that was my last shot. And the heartbreaking story about that was, when they told me about the Cruiserweight Classic, they said, "Hey, you're going to be in this big tournament. 32 guys from all over the world, spin on the network, yada yada. It's a big deal." And then they announced the tournament, and they released the list of all the participants. And my name isn't on the list. I can't find it. And, they had, you guys are good friends with the Bollywood boys, you know that? They had the Bollywood boys listed in there. I go, maybe they confused me with one of them and they listed them twice. I don't know. My mind's going crazy. So I eventually called William Regal. And he's like, I'm really sorry to tell you this. I'm sorry you get to find out this way, but you're just an alternate. You're a backup. You're not scheduled to be on the show. You're just there in case someone doesn't show up. And I go, well, how many alternates are there? And he's like, 10. So I was like, okay, fantastic. So I'm not even in this thing. Somehow an opportunity came up, and I was able to compete in the Cruiserweight Classic. And I was in the first round match against Lucas Dorado. And I was in and out in 4 minutes, So I thought that was it. But again, another NXT opportunity came up, and then the Dusty Classic tournament came up, and then another NXT opportunity. So, it was always a possibility, but I was still, doing the police officer stuff, but it was always a possibility. And it just took one NXT taping. I went up to Triple H after the taping, and I was like, hey, man, you've seen me 5 or 6 times now. And you know. All my other friends were getting, I didn't say this part, but at the time, all my other friends were getting contracts. They were getting offers. So I was basically kind of fishing to see where his mind was. I'm like, do you see me here? Or what? And he gave me the response of there's so many dogs and so many bones, and I can only give out so many bones, and right now is just not the time, And I was like, okay, cool. I thought he was telling me buzz off, kid, But then a week later, I got a call about, hey, we want to offer you a deal. So I did the police officer stuff all the way until I actually got an actual offer. And I believe my start date with WWE was November 30th, 2016. I worked as a police officer until November 28th, 2016. So I literally worked, until I had my days off, and then transitioned into WWE.
Jay's going to mention this, but you started on Jay's birthday, so he's going to take full credit for this.
Rocket strap, Jay, right there. See? The birthday rocket strap.
Now, right?
Well, that's a thing. It's very uncommon. It doesn't happen a lot. It only happens for good people. So obviously, there you go. The birthday rocket strap. You're welcome.
Birthday rocket strap, man. I'm vague.
He's going for the retro rocket strap. This is the first.
Yeah. And
it's funny. You talked about how you wouldn't let go of the wrestling. Sometimes I think wrestling won't let go of the person either. I think it's kind of this symbiotic relationship sometimes, and it just it's nice to hear that throughout all of that you kept coming back, but also that takes a lot of balls to go up to Hunter and have that conversation, because you just want the answer.
Yeah, and what if he looked me right in my face and goes, no, man, you're terrible. We just need you so we can beat you to some guys, you're putting yourself out there. But it came to the point, and again, not to sound like the guy I've been doing this for so long, but I started when I was 16, this year would make 17 years now, so I felt like I knew what I was doing, but I didn't have any validation. Like, I didn't have a guy that would sign off on me. I didn't do the international tour with, like, you know, with Finn Balor. I didn't do, like, I didn't have, like, that, you know, that stamp of approval from anybody. So it was kind of like, am I wasting my time? Am I not, quote unquote, in? Like, you know, like, how, like, why not? Like, go up to him and ask him, you know? So I think it was just, like, frustration, honestly. It wasn't even like, you know, like, I'm going to go take this, I deserve this. And it was just like, man, I'm frustrated. Like, I want to know if this is going to happen or not. And, like, I think that's what fueled it, honestly. That's why I went up to him. But, yeah, totally out of character. Like, I normally would not do that. So I think I was just, like I said, like, just so frustrated that I went up to him and I asked him.
There's something to be said for knowing, right? You're either going to get a yes or a no, and it's a 50-50 shot, and it's 100% if you don't ask. So, you know, you did the right thing, in my opinion.
But please, to all talent that might be extra talent coming to, like, a Raw or SmackDown, don't just go up to Hunter and ask him for a job. This is complicated enough.
It would work for him.
He told me that. I hope he can ask you.
But yeah, you get the answer because, like you said, that you're not what we're looking for. Well, what does that mean? And what can I improve on? Because what aspects am I not hitting that, or what am I missing from being what you are looking for? And if you can get that, then you can work on that. And that's something to move forward with. But to get that kind of blanket statement like you got initially, I'm sure that had to have added to the frustration and just wanting to get a straight answer. Like, okay, what is it that I got to do?
Oh, absolutely. And it was just confusing because for me, like, I always thought that, like, you know, one of the hard things in wrestling is, like, you know, the art of the promo. Like, you know, we got guys that can do everything in the ring, but, like, I was always pretty, like, proud of, like, my ability to cut a promo, so much so that William Regal, the reason he got me to try out was because of my promo that I cut. He said, the in-ring stuff's fine. He goes, it's your promo. He's like, I really dig it, and this and that. So I was just confused because when I got the, you know, the rejection letter, Kalisto is a good friend of mine, and he's from the Chicagoland area too. He had gotten signed earlier that year as well, and I was like, well, like, I can, you know, I'm a little bigger than Kalisto, but we work the same style and speed and whatnot, and you know, no disrespect to him, but, like, I feel like I can definitely cut a promo, you know, like, so I'm not, I'm not figuring out this puzzle here. Like, what is it that I'm missing, you know? So to get that blanket statement of just, like, you're not what we're looking for, it was, like, and maybe that would, you know, fuel the frustration even more.
Well, and sometimes it does take that, you know, strangely, to light that fire. Not to say that was the case with you, but sometimes that's what it takes, you know, to cause you to go up and ask Hunter, you know. But one thing that I want to talk about with you, and you mentioned empathy before, and your character, and when you're in the ring, there's a sense of empathy, which is very rare in an industry that isn't really based on empathy, if that makes any sense. And I think that sets you apart, and that, to me, is a throwback. And I'm going to throw some heavy names here at you, but this is what you remind me of. A Ricky Steamboat, a Ricky Morton, you know, that kind of baby face where you can make a person feel. And I think a lot of that stems from a sense of empathy.
Shout out to 205 Live producer Adam Pierce, because anytime I worked a match, he always used to say, let me see that Ricky Morton, baby. So yeah, no, I appreciate that a lot. That's, you know, heavy company to be a part of, but, like, yeah, that's what Vince pulled me aside and said when I started on SmackDown. He said, I don't know if I showed him yet, but what he was telling me is that his gut tells him that he feels that I can get empathy from the crowd. And he said exactly what you said. He goes, that's a very hard thing nowadays because I don't feel like I have anybody on the roster that can do that. So he's like, that's where you're going to stick out, and that's where you're going to make your money. And to tie it all in together, like, I think I learned what empathy really is, and it sounds so weird because it wasn't from wrestling. It wasn't from, like, this baby face comeback, and, you know, he showed, because everyone can show heart, right? Like, you can have a match with anybody and have them get beat up for 10 minutes, and then that last 2 minutes, like, oh man, he's not giving up. Like, I feel like a lot of people on the roster could do that. I feel like I learned empathy from my time on the streets as a police officer. And what I mean by that is, like, I got exposed to so many people that I wouldn't normally meet in my life. I met people that were victims of like severe domestic abuse problems. They were, drug abuse problems. People that had mental problems, suicide problems. People that came from broken homes. People with real life economic issues. Drug dealers, murderers. Like I've met these people and I've heard their stories and their circumstances. And that job, if you start, some people become cold from it, like they just turn off and they don't feel. Like I feel like my emotions and my sense of empathy rose because I was like, man, like life is really hard for a lot of people. So I was just able to understand that, like, that concept of like empathy. I don't know how exactly I'm able to translate that into wrestling, but I just always remember like something would come up and people would get mad, and I'd go like, yeah, but like what led him to that action? Like what circumstance? Like what happened to him or her? Like this is that sense of empathy where you just start trying to look at the world through their view. You know what I mean? So that's what I try to do with the Ivy character. Like everyone's so confident in WWE. They'll stand proudly and they'll proclaim that I deserve this championship. I was like, man, like a lot of people don't feel that way about themselves. Like a lot of people are like, man, that sure would be nice if I was champion, but like I don't know. So I try to find that balance. I try to find like what's the most natural way that I can be one of them, because I am one of them. You know what I mean? I'm a kid from Chicago that went to a bunch of wrestling shows at Allstate Arena that never ever thought this would happen. So like I try to find that sense of empathy and that like try to make it so that we're seeing eye to eye. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but I think that's where it comes from.
It really is. You did explain it because you're talking about these people that you encountered and people going through difficult times. I know growing up, when I was going through difficult times, I turned to wrestling because it just made me forget about all of the tough things going on, even if it was only for 2 hours, even if it was for an hour, whatever it was an outlet for me to go, okay, right, this is not going exactly the way I had planned, but I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch Saturday night's main event, and I'm going to forget about all of that stuff for an hour and a half and just have fun and laugh and maybe get mad and experience these things. So I think that's the tie-in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you were saying that, I was kind of envisioning myself like, unfortunately my dad's no longer around, but him and my mom didn't always have the best of times. So I remember like the parents fighting with each other upstairs, yelling and shouting and screaming, and I just remember like turning the dial up, like the volume dial up, and just getting lost in wrestling, and it was like, okay, like I know this is the situation at home, but I can escape for the next hour or two because Monday Night Raw is on, and I get to watch one people who said versus Razor Ramon, and this is all I care about right now.
I want to go into influences.
Yeah.
Who were the talents that hooked you?
I name dropped him already, but what's kind of cool is I do the pop-up drop kick because X-Pac Sean, 123 kid, however you want to refer to him as, he used to do the pop-up drop kick, and he actually had mentioned that to me one time. He goes, hey man, like, let's do the pop-up drop kick, and then like the next week I started doing the X-Factor, and then he messaged me again. He's like, okay, I see what you're doing. I was like, man, like, I grew up on him, you know what I mean? As far as early influences, I was a big Bret the Hitman Hart kid fan, dude. Like I was like enthralled by him, and it wasn't so much just the wrestling. It was just that like no matter what, he did the right thing. He was the ultimate good guy. Like whoever he was wrestling, they would cheat, they would poke him in the eye. Mr. Fuji would throw the salt in it. It didn't matter. Bret always did the right thing. And I was like, man, he's the coolest, and then as I got older, I really got into the cruiserweights, the Rey Mysterio. And then I really got into the whole death-defying hardcore stuff by Jeff Hardy, It's really, really weird to talk to you guys about this, but, the ladder matches that you guys and the Dudleys and the Hardys had, WrestleMania 2000, I used to, recreate that match in my backyard, over and over again. And, like I said, I was a huge Jeff Hardy fan, so I would take, long socks, and I would cut holes in them so that I could make the armbands that he did. And I'm not kidding you. Me and my friends would just recreate the WrestleMania 2000 ladder match, as much as possible. We couldn't do the finish because we couldn't figure out how to do the table on top of the 2 ladders. But
we had a tough time with that too.
Really molded us, and like that's exactly when I started. A few years after that's when I started my independent wrestling journey. So like you guys and that whole tag team introducing the ladders and then the chairs and then the tables and ultimately the KLC, like that was a huge influence going into the independent scene when I started in like 2003 or something like that, So that was my my transition. I went from Bret the Hitman Hart all the way to like Jeff Hardy,
That's crazy. And you, speaking of being such a big fan of Jeff, you must have really hated us since we always went over in those matches.
Yeah. It's like, come on, dude. Can we get lose one?
At least in their hometown.
Yeah. Come on, what was it, SummerSlam, right? Yeah, SummerSlam. Yeah. Come on, you guys couldn't do that and that's the solid.
It was in our contracts.
Just backing up a second when you were talking about empathy. I think that when you were saying you were pulling from different areas than wrestling, you were pulling from real life experiences, and when you can apply those, they're real, and that emotes to the audience. And when you can make those people feel what you're feeling, that's you have a gift, and you do have that. So. Kudos to you for being able to do that. What was the, when you found out that you were leaving 205 Live to go on SmackDown full time, like how did that happen?
It was such a weird, 100 miles per hour type of day. You know what I mean? The week prior to that is, I showed, and it was the same text that I get every week. It was like, hey, we don't know what's going on. You're off of 205 Live this week. We might have to do a backstage promo. So, I'm showing up, going straight to catering, eating, because I'm like, I'm not going to be on TV, so I can just do anything I want. And then you get pulled out of catering, they go, hey, you're wrestling Daniel Bryan tonight on SmackDown, and it's the opening match. And I'm like,
wow.
Damn it, I just ate all that spaghetti.
Yeah, and I'm an idiot, and the first question I say is, why? Like, why am I wrestling him? And they go, they want to throw you a bone, and then, I get pulled aside, and, it was explained to me, clearly that this is just a one-time deal. Because you're going to wrestle Brian, don't get any ideas. It's just a one-time deal. We want to highlight you in 205 Live a little bit. We're going to play a 205 package, something like that. It's just to get some buzz. And okay, cool. They're throwing 205 a bone. And Brian's a heel. He's a heel champion this time. And they probably just want someone that could sell really well and make him look like, cool, this is still an opportunity. And, Brian hits me with, what's the best stuff you can hit on me? Right off the bat, I go, what? Let's look, I'm not putting 2 and 2 together, I'm thinking I'm going to go out there and just get, mauled, But no, it turned into a full, 2-segment match, and, I'd like to say that, I featured pretty well in that match, and, despite losing and whatnot. So, I come back, and everything's all thumbs up. They go, hey, we really appreciate you. And I said, hey, I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. This should be awesome for 205, And then the next week I show up, and I'm told, oh, you have a promo for 205, and that's it. And, I'm waiting around for my promo, and it's at that point Road Dogg pulls me aside and says, hey, we're moving you full-time to SmackDown, and you're teaming with AJ tonight to take on Bryan and Andrade in the main event. And, everything's different now. You're full-time on SmackDown, you're not 205 anymore. So, you literally just find out, like that. And then it's like, okay, go ringside because I need you now. So, you're there to do whatever work they need that day, but I didn't have a moment to just sit down and process, hey, I just got, I don't want to say called up, but moved over, to SmackDown.
Yeah.
And I'm working the main event with all the top guys on the SmackDown brand. This is a big deal, but I'm I didn't have time to really comprehend it until I got back to the hotel that night. I just went, holy crap, is this it? Is this the start of it? So, yeah, it really happened that quick, and that's kind of there was no, hinting or, hey, we might do this. It was just, you're not on SmackDown at all, and then the next week, hey, you're on SmackDown full time now.
Well, and it's almost better because then you can't get in your own head. You just got to do it and go on your instinct and go with what got you there, right? And, knowing the way that place can operate, I'm sure that first week was, well, let's see what he has. Let's see if he can, what he's got basically under a pretty, pressure-filled situation. And you knocked it out of the park.
Thank you, man. I feel like looking back on it, that might have been the situation too, because like it's Daniel Bryan, the WWE championship. I mean, the title wasn't on the line. It's still you're in the ring with the WWE champion. You're cutting a promo. So that was my first time cutting like I've been interviewed in the ring, but I haven't cut a promo back and forth with like another performer in the ring before a match, and then a 2-seg on national television like that. Like I could have easily thanked. So yeah, maybe it was just a test.
So, all of a sudden now, you've talked about Rey Mysterio, you've talked about Jeff Hardy. Now you're on the same roster. These guys are your peers. I mean, and you've had an opportunity to get in there with them now and show what you can do. So, I mean, I don't know, just how mind-boggling is that? Because I think we've all encountered that at some point. But how did that feel for you to go, hold on a second, like, I'm working Rey Mysterio?
It's really, I mean, I think you guys will appreciate this story a little bit more than, some of the casual listeners, but we were working some live event for SmackDown, and it was like a 6-man tag, and I was teaming with The Miz and Jeff Hardy, and we were taking on, like, Shinsuke, Rusev, and I think maybe, like, Shelton Benjamin or something like that, and Rusev and Miz were doing, like, some, a sequence of thought, kind of making a reference to, like, the Karate Kid, like Shinsuke, Rusev, and then they're doing something like that. So it was a really comedy spot, and I remember being, on the apron next to Jeff Hardy, this guy that I idolized, And I remember like looking over at him, and like they did the spot with the spot, and Jeff looks over at me, and he's wearing full, makeup and whatnot. He's done the art that he does on his face, and he goes, "Man, wrestling show is weird, isn't it?" And I remember like looking at him, this grown man in face paint, with like stockings on his eyes, and I'm just like nodding, and I'm like, "Yep, sure is." And I remember I just had like a little cool moment with my idol, but it was the weirdest like comment that he could have possibly made about like a Karate Kid spot as he's standing on the apron wearing full makeup on his face. I was like, man, yeah, that's what was pretty weird, Jeff. So I know you guys would appreciate that story more. But yeah, dude,
that is such.
Wild, man. I'm feeling like I've got to have a match with Rey Mysterio, and then to come back and hear that, hey, kid, you're pretty good. I'm like, okay, cool, because you're the greatest of all time. So, like, that's really cool. You think I'm good. It's just wild, man. I'm still that guy that doesn't, like, understand why I'm getting what I'm getting, but I'm extremely thankful for it. And I tell everybody, like, if this is it, this is all that I've gotten, I'd be happy. I honestly would, like, because I didn't think it would happen.
Well, it's happening because you're talented and you have passion. So, don't you should be proud of what you've done, and you're far from you've got a lot more to do, obviously. So when you started working with Daniel Bryan, as far as the for the championship and the injury happens, take us through that a little bit.
I've been having this really like hard time of pulling Bryan aside to tell him this. Like I've told other people this. I don't know why. It's just like I want to wait for the right time. So I don't know if he's listening, but like, man, he changed my life. Like really, I just I'm on SmackDown now. I got a new deal now, and like I'm at that point right now where like everything is good now. At home and my family and my mom. She's getting a little older. So she's on certain medications now, and she got more doctor's appointments. But everything is fine now because, like, I'm okay now, And I keep pointing to Bryan because whether or not he'll admit it, I know he has something to do with, me getting moved over, And it's so easy for me to tell you guys in the entire world, but for some reason I'm sitting right next to him. I can't muster up the words to thank him because, like, I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't know if he sees some of me in him or what's the case. Because I've heard numerous people that he was very vocal about like the work that I did on 205. Like he would watch it, and he was vocal about like we need young guys that can sell and different and diverse and what like he was talking about the future. So to know that he thought of my name when talking about the future means a lot. So yeah, the guy's changed my life. He really has. And working with him is just, incredible. I got paired up with him for a few live events, and like, again, this is me, this kid from Chicago, Ali, wrestling the WWE champion at the time, the WWE champion. it doesn't matter if it was in Yakima, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like I'm wrestling Daniel Bryan at the WWE Championship, like, and I'm learning so much from him on the road. You know, so it's like it was a cool experience. But then, yeah, man, the injury comes out of nowhere. It was. And a lot of people like go to the point like, oh, the injury happened here, or it happened because Randy Orton kicked him in the face, or it happened over here because Rowan took him on the table. It was a situation where a number of injuries were just like kind of catching up on me, and I was trying to work through them. And then I actually ended up like fracturing my tailbone like right when I started SmackDown, and I was able to still work through it. And then another injury happened, and then another injury happened. So the docs are all aware of like me trying to like hold myself together by a few strings. And it was actually a concussion that got me. I got rocked at a live event, and I just tried so hard to like not sell it when I got backstage, but it got to the point where I guess it was 2 weeks before the Elimination Chamber match, which again is the biggest match of my life, And I have no idea what the plans are. I have no idea what my involvement is, but everyone that I talk to that's there says, you better be ready at Elimination Chamber. Make sure you're ready at Elimination. That's all I keep hearing. Make sure you got some good ideas for Elimination Chamber. So I'm like, okay, I'm like really focused. And I was working some live event, and I just got rocked, man. And I come backstage, and everyone's doing a handshake, good match. And for some reason, right by the entranceway, I just sit down on the floor and I cross my legs, and I'm just sitting here Indian style. And everyone's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I just wouldn't move because I knew if I stood up, I was going to fall over. I just had to sit. And eventually, one of the referees, if someone said, "No, maybe we should go get the doc," and the doc, walks by me and he goes, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah." He's like, "Why don't you go stand up for me real quick?" And I would not stand. And he goes, "No, I really need you to stand up right now." And as soon as I stood up, he saw the, whoa,
Yeah.
He grabs me by the arm. He's like, "Hey, why don't you walk over to the trainer's room and we'll check it out and whatnot." And I'm sitting on the table, and he was doing the concussion protocol test. And he sees me. He sees my hands gripping the table because I'm sitting on it and I'm gripping it because I knew if I let go, I was going to tip over. He goes, "Why don't you go and put your hands in front of you?" And I would not do it. I go, "Why?" Like, I'm getting all defensive and stuff like that. He's like, "I already put your hands in front of you." And as soon as I put my hands in front of me, I just toppled over. So obviously I failed the concussion test, miserably. And he tells me, he's like, "Hey man, I can't clear you. He's like, I'd say you almost need a month off." And I was like, "Hey, doc, please." And I'm trying to fight back tears here because this is the biggest match of my life. I know what's coming. And he's like, I'm like, "Doc, please, can I just get through the Elimination Chamber? Is there any way?" He's almost trying to look at me like I'm an idiot, he's like, "Are you insane? You know how dangerous that match is?" And he goes, "I cannot clear you to get in the ring." He's like, "I can't." And he's like, "You got this opportunity one time, so you can get better, come back, and you'll get it again." So he was able to calm me down, but I've never been so down and depressed in my life, man. I was like, you messed up, but then to go home and sit back and then watch what happened, man, that put me in a dark spot.
Oh, and understandably so, and we had Kofi on the show, and he talked about it, and he talked about how bad he felt, in kind of stepping in and then taking this thing and taking it where it's gone. And I know that's got to be hard for you, but at the same time, it's Kofi, right? So talk about another baby face like you, like Steamboat, like that. He's one of those guys, right? So it's a great story, and you feel good for him too, I'm sure. But, and here I think is what can be focused on, is it adds even more layers to your story. I mean, think about the entire package that they could do when you eventually work Kofi or whoever it is for that championship for the first time, and think about all of the layers of things that have now been added on because of that. And it's looking at the positives in something that, on the surface is a negative. But I guarantee
and we'll say this too, real quick too, before you answer, I want to say this too about the Kofi interview, where he said, and I don't know if you heard it or not, but he said he was very much aware of the opportunity in front of him, and he almost didn't want to let you down either, knowing what had happened. So it shows you what kind of person Kofi is as well.
Yeah, what's super wild about Kofi and Elimination Chamber and what he said was, I'm at home and I'm watching, I'm watching the build up too. I'm watching the gauntlet matches he's going through on SmackDown, and like I'm watching his performance. I'm like, you start putting the pieces together. Like, oh my God, this is what they meant by Be Ready. Like he just went an hour and he beat this guy and he beat this guy, and then oh my God, this amazing performance he did at Elimination Chamber, and it came down to him and Brian. Like this is what they meant, about Be Ready.
Yeah.
So your heart is at its lowest point because you realize what could have been. What's so cool about Kofi and Xavier and Big E is that they actually contacted me that night after the Elimination Chamber, which is arguably one of the biggest nights of their life, right? Like Kofi Mania was pretty much born that night, right? They contacted me that night to let me, to check in on me. And I was like, man, how cool are these guys, and specifically Kofi, that, I know me, I know how I am after a match, there's so much to do, and, think about the feedback he's getting from, the bosses and the producers, the other guys in the matches. But he took the time out to grab his phone out of the bag and go, let me check on all these. He's not even there, I think that speaks volumes about, the New Day and Kofi specifically. That, and that's what he told me. That he was like, hey, I have to do you proud, And I was like, that's just the most wild thing for me to comprehend. Like this guy that's been here for so long thinks that he has to do me proud. Shout out to Kofi and New Day. You guys are awesome. And if there is any type of positivity out of this terrible thing that happened to me, it is that it resulted in Kofi becoming WWE champion, because what a guy, what a performer, what a human being, and he's been at it for so long, and he's more deserving of it, and I mean that genuinely, so I'm super happy for him. But yeah, what you were saying earlier, Adam, about not there's a story there now, you know what I mean, and that's the stuff you can't write. I think everyone, in the world can relate to that one time that they felt like something was right in their grasp and it got taken away, or someone close to them got, the opportunity that they wanted. The story just writes itself, and it's just another layer, that we can address it years from now. We can address it next week. We don't know, but it's super weird for me to say this, but I think everything that's happening is in a good way, because I almost feel like had I jumped onto the SmackDown scene and immediately got pushed into that position where I'm pinning Randy Orton and I'm pinning, Jeff Hardy and I'm pinning AJ Styles, I don't know with the way our crowd is now if they would have been receptive to that, because that's not me. I'm not the badass, I'm not I'm that underdog that scratches and claws. I'm the slow bird. You know what I mean? That's how I've been my entire life. That's how I was on 205. The first year, I was nothing. It was this slow burn the second year that really got me over. And I was kind of hoping that would happen on SmackDown as well. This injury is kind of I don't want to say ruined plans, but, made me go all the way back down to the bottom, so to speak. So, now I feel like the slow burn is happening again. And I feel like that's the fans are going to gravitate towards that. And they go, man, Ali's that guy that always gets so close, but when something happens, we need to get behind it.
It really is. It's what happened with Kofi. I mean, and we talked about it when he was on, and he was going to be in the Elimination Chamber, and they had me come out and take him out of it and take a spot and and all these things, and he never had an opportunity after all of those years. I went to them and said, we need to do a storyline with Kofi, right? Nope. Okay. And it just never happened, and every chance it looked like it was going to happen, and it didn't happen, and it was a slow burn. And 11 years later, now I'm not saying it's going to take 11 years for that to happen with you, but it's a very similar scenario. And I think you're right. I think the audience today, there could have been a backlash. And now you don't have to try and work through that. Now you can continue, and what your strength is this guy who is going to show up every week and bust his ass, and whoever he gets in there with, it's going to be a good match, and you're a recurring theme. And I really do, I don't like to guarantee, but I really do think that it is all going to turn out for the better at some point, as difficult as I know it must have been.
Oh yeah, and one, thank you for all the kind things, but yeah, it was a really weird month, man, because as cool, as positive as I'm talking about it right now, but like, hey, in the long run, it was a good thing, and now it's not being forced. But at the moment, you realize how, like, when's the last time you heard of a guy going an hour beating 5 of the top guys in one episode?
Yeah.
And like, my wife, she gets it, but she doesn't get it. And I remember like being depressed about it. And I was trying to explain to her, like, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, that's not going to happen again anytime soon. Like, there's not going to be a guy that shows up and beats 5 of the best in one night, and immediately gets positioned for a WrestleMania. Like, that is once in a lifetime. And like, I'm not saying that could have been me, but that could have. Like, the opportunity very well could have been mine, So that
it's hard not to think of those things.
thing to like accept that, like, I'm never going to get to answer that question. What if? Like, that opportunity won't happen. But again, things happen and you move on. Like, my favorite quote nowadays is, "Life ain't easy for those who dream." So yeah, you dream and then stuff happens, but that's okay because that's part of the process. You adjust and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, you're human, right? You're going to feel sorry for yourself for a minute, but then you realize it's out of your hands. There's nothing you can do. Either you can let it pull you down, or you can move forward and keep moving up like you've done. And, we just saw this past Sunday at Money in the Bank. I mean, that had to be special for you as well. Like I said, being a fan of the ladder matches, that we were in all those years ago. And now, then later the Money in the Bank matches, and you actually got to compete in one, and you were the last guy up there with your hands in the briefcase. Tell us a little about the first Money in the Bank match you were in.
I was really super excited about the possibility of like what was going to go down as far as like the participants, So I've come to the point right now where I kind of get how hectic it is to put together the shows, and especially if there's another match like yours. So there's a women's Money in the Bank match too. I used to be the guy that would show up to TV, and I had like 75 million ideas. I'm like, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do that. Now I'm the guy that shows up to TV, and I try to find out what's going on top to bottom, and I've got a few ideas, but not like, before I would be like, okay, then this, and maybe this. Now I'm like, okay, what are the moments that I can build up to about me specifically, or what are the moments that I could play off of with a guy like Randy Orton, what's like on that guy now, I look at the car and I go, well, are they using a bunch of tables in the women's ladder match? Because if they are, then maybe like, I'm kind of like more looking at like the scene now before I would just show up and like, this is what I would like to do.
You are getting so much ammunition in terms of story, and you can already picture the package of all the moments and all the fingertips, and I mean it's like you said, it's the slow burn, and I think there's just one more instance of it.
Well, you're just making deposits, and then when it's time to start with the withdrawals, I mean, the more you put in, the more you can take out when it's time.
Absolutely, it's like, and anyone I've talked to, they said that's the best thing about it, because it's such an easy story to tell. People are going to be like, oh man, like, yeah, this guy, like, by doing it this way, I don't have the 11 years in WWE that Kofi does, but these experiences, like, it sure helps. It sure helps tell the story. Like, man, this guy's been through a lot. Not knowing that I just started on the SmackDown roster earlier this year, but like, you tell these stories of like, and he had this opportunity, but then this guy, like, it kind of adds the years for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, with today's audience, there can always be that backlash of like, man, they're handling this guy way too much, way too soon. Da da da. This now, erases any kind of aspect of that. And that's a great thing, it especially with the type of character and the type of babyface that you are. So yeah, it's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to watching where it goes, because and I'm going to throw Beth under the bus. She'd get home because she was there doing stuff, and she always go, man, you got to watch Ali. You got to watch his stuff. He really. There's just something about what he does and the sympathy that he can get, and just the way it's just different. And so she'd been putting you over to me.
But you were strong,
about you
brother.
for a while. It was easier in my head than the way it just came out. But so she was putting you over for a while, and then I started watching, and I'd seen you, and I'd seen the Cruiserweight Classic and everything, and then I started watching. I was like, wow. And then I'd see guys like Randy, who I can imagine loves working with you, because you are a guy that fits in perfectly with his style. And Jay and I have talked about it a lot on this, in that you can pick up the pace and do these phenomenal things, and then he can be Randy. So it's been really fun to watch, and then to get to meet you a few times and talk to you, and then in talking to you here, and just from what you hear, because you always hear stuff, all I hear is that you're a great dude. And so it's nice to see a great dude doing great things, but also getting great opportunities.
Oh, man, it's a lot of kind things. Thank you, Chris. I had someone compliment me for such a duration. I don't know what to say, but thank you, man. That means a lot. Yeah, you touched on like working with Randy, like a quick little side story about him. Like I think the first time we had like a one-on-one match, he was like, "How do you see this opening going?" And he's like, "Look, I love that. The quicker you can get to the part where you beat me up, is the better for me." And like he smiled. I like you a lot. I was like, cool. And that's all you need to know, yeah. But Randy's honestly, like, I think Randy's one of the best ever to do it. Like, honestly, like, he's another guy that, like, I've been watching and paying attention to. Like, he's so smart, the way he does it. But, yeah, I really hope it leads to something like a full-time, like, program with him. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Cool. I'd love to see that. But we've kept you for over an hour now, and I know it's an off day. You just got back from your European tour, pay-per-view. You got kids, so we should probably let you go here.
Hey, it'd be a perfect time because then I guess this little one to a swimming class.
Bam, perfect. See, we knew we're dads. We get it.
Yeah, you could sense it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it was great having you on. Appreciate you coming on and taking the time in a busy week after all that stuff, like Jay just said. And looking forward to watching what you do, man. It's exciting to watch, and I'm really, really happy for you.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. It's a fun chat.
Yeah, man.
All right, man.
Continues,
Take care. Keep knocking it dead.
All the best, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So it was a great talk. But before we go any further, before we wrap up the show, I gotta tell you something, Birdman.
What?
I gotta tell you about HelloFresh. Yeah, it's simple. HelloFresh makes conquering the kitchen a reality with deliciously simple recipes, and you're pretty simple, so I know you need that. You see, HelloFresh does all the meal planning, shopping, and prepping, so you can focus on a healthier you and happier family. Get seasonal, simple recipes and pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door every week.
Oh, that sounds really convenient, having it delivered to your door, because I'm lazy and I don't like to go places. Cooking is enjoyable and easy with HelloFresh. Fresh, pre-measured ingredients and easy-to-follow 6-step pictured recipe cards are delivered to your door each week in a special insulated box. Spend less time meal planning and grocery shopping so you can get back that time to do more of what you love. All meals come together in 30 minutes max, call for less than 2 pots and pans, and require minimal cleanup. Make family dinners fuss-free with HelloFresh's picky eater, kid-tested and approved family plan recipes, and we both have picky kids.
Make deliciousness part of your life every week. There's 3 plans to choose from: classic, veggie, and family, with the option to switch between for when your tastes change. We choose family because, well, we're a family. Enjoy fun menu features with HelloFresh's dinner to lunch, 20-minute meals, gourmet, and one-pot wonders, among many more. Get out of that recipe rut and start cooking outside of your comfort zone by discovering new, delicious recipes. I mean, it worked for me. I was the guy who just made mac and cheese before, but now it's got me cooking, and it gave me great husband points. So for $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/awesomeness80 and enter awesomeness80. So for $80 off your first month of HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/awesomeness and enter awesomeness80. That's HelloFresh.com/awesomeness80 and enter awesomeness80. It's like receiving 8 meals for free, or you get $20 off your first 4 boxes. It's a great deal. Gotta do it. I think I just said knocking it dead.
Well,
I don't know if that's an
maybe you
actual
did.
term or if I just made
Well,
it
it
up.
is now.
But
It doesn't matter. If it's
yeah,
said on here, it means something.
he's going to knock it dead.
We're knocking her dead.
Knocking
Knock
her
her
dead,
dead,
there,
bud. Turn it Canadian.
Hey
It'll
there,
work.
bud.
Fuck. Knock her dead. Fuck.
What a good guy. You just
Yeah.
you can sense it from talking to him,
Yeah.
and all of his experiences as an officer and some of the things he saw, and you can just, I don't know, there's certain people where you can just sense like that's a good person, and
Yeah, there's something genuine about him, right? And that
Yeah.
also, I think that also comes off when we're talking about getting reactions and empathy and things like that. People aren't stupid. They have a sense of when somebody's a genuine person. I think it's easy to tell that he is.
And those are intangible things, right?
Right.
I think those are some of the intangibles that some people have that others don't. Like you're a dick, and everybody can tell. And as soon as they see you, they just know, I don't like him. And you could be a babyface, don't get me wrong. Hey, The Miz is a babyface right now, and he's the only other guy besides you that I look at and go, what a dick. So it's possible. But you guys, to me, are lifelong heels. He, to me, is one of those perennial baby faces. And not to say that he won't be able to turn heel one day and he's talented enough that he'll be able to do it. But I just see him in the same vein as I see Ray, as I see, Steamboat, as it just that type of, I don't know, just that type of character. And I really do think they're adding layer upon layer and doing it in such a way that he won't face any backlash. And even when they had that triple threat and Kofi wasn't in it, and so the audience was angry about it, but they worked through it, and he worked through it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, man.
Me too.
It's a good chat.
Me too.
It's a good chat, Bert.
Good talk. Good talk. Yeah. So, well, we should probably wrap her up here, huh?
Yeah, I think we should there, bud.
Yeah. Fuck. I was thinking too. We haven't had a T-shirt out for this podcast in a while. I think these fucking marks probably pay $25 for a shirt, $25-$30 for a shirt, huh?
We haven't had a T-shirt. There's been no flip sunset sightings. Say that 10 times.
No. I think he was suspended.
We've had no Paul Smackage tumbleweed. He was suspended for using hot stuff?
Yeah, it's illegal.
Is it 1999?
Yeah, what things it is.
So there's some things that have been missing that may need to be rectified. I don't know. I can try and
we'll
get
get a shirt out
for the people and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, I'm out of here. I'm done. I don't know if you're done, but I am.
Here we go.